This is the city and county building, and there's those guys that we just spoke with. And this is the other side, because that's the side we just looked at. On this side, we have dog heads, something like you might expect to find in Egypt. And those guys that were just at the Comic-Con, or FanX, whatever they call it, dude's packing a crossbow. Obviously he's a LARPer, live action role playing. But when I point out the dragons on the side of the building, he's just about as interested as nothing. He's like, yeah, that's kind of interesting. And I say, this ain't a Gothic cathedral. This is the city and county building. Why are there dragons hanging off the side? He's like, oh, I don't know. Kind of interesting, though. And if I wouldn't have pointed them out, he wouldn't even have noticed. But these are guys that are kind of into that kind of thing. Right? Playing Dungeons and Dragons and shit. And I point out real dragons to them hanging off the side of the city and county building. And that's what this is. You can see the wings here on the side, feet on the bottom, head looking straight at you. There's morning decoration going on here, guys. Oh yeah, what's his name? Buckner, Brian Buckner. He sees faces in everything. So here, this one's for you, Brian. There really is here. Here, I'll back it out a little bit so you can. That's the Knights Templar cross. This is the same cat or cougar that was up there by the ram's head. And these are the faces that Brian Buckner sees everywhere. Shit. And they're over here too. So let's go check out these dudes. So this is the side we were just looking at. There's the dog's head, and here you go. There's the answer right there. Rededicated by Grand Lodge F and AM of Utah. That's free and accepted Masons. And if you see, there's the sign right there. It's barely visible. But that's who's running the show. And they're not hiding it. Just most people are too, most people just don't give a shit. And you can actually see the sign on both sides. It's one here and one there. The G in the middle of the compass and the square. And this is all City Hall. And that's who's actually running the show. So that's where it says City Hall. Here's the sign we just read, and I didn't even wrap around to the other side. This part reads, laid by the Masonic Fraternity, W.N. Schilling, Grand Master, 1892. So they've been running the show for a long time. So they can't be that bad, right? Utah's actually a pretty nice place to live. I was taking people back to the airport on a daily basis who were practically in tears, having to go back to wherever they were from. Here's one of these gargoyles hanging off the corner of one of the watchers. So, on all four corners here, they're a little bit different than the ones on the other side. But they're more watchers. And you gotta see these dudes. We're gonna go get close-ups. These are actual dragon. And the eagle is interchangeable with the dragon. So there we have some sort of bird / eagle head. And this side is definitely dragon. You can see the tail coming down right here. And the Fraternal Order of the Serpent Brotherhood has been running the show for a long time. And the reason the eagle is interchangeable with the dragon, because there was a point in time where the gods told the people, do not depict us as we really are. And so because you couldn't draw them as reptilian humanoids, you had to draw them as something else. So the feathers represented scales, and you can see the similarity between that and this. And so at the time, it served as a substitute that was acceptable by the gods as a way in which we could represent them. This guy's even got the space helmet on. If you didn't know better, you'd say it's some sort of tribute to an Aztec or Mayan god. But oh, no, it can't be. It's just a secular society we live in here, and we don't pay tribute or homage to any of those airy-fairy ideas. Or do we? Or are they still alive and well and operating and actually running the show here? I'd say the latter. Definitely the latter. Grimm ghost tours. They must have come to check out the dragons. Huh? See? At least I'm not alone. At least some people like to check out the bazaar. I told them there's no grimy ghosts here, that I already looked, but apparently they don't believe me, and they all want to see for themselves. Now I feel a little bit better knowing that some other people are interested in this kind of stuff.
This face up there, that is the face character of Chief Wakura, who was a local Native American chief in the area. In fact, he was one of the first Native American chiefs to sign peace treaties with the United States Army on the west side of the United States.
Should I ask her about the Freemasons or the dragon? See? Eagle.
Symbolic in the United States. Up here, any guesses what this one is?
A dragon.
Dragon? Looks like a dragon, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right up there. Between the first arch and the second arch.
She's talking about the dragon.
Griffin.
A griffin?
Phoenix.
This is documented as being the Utah lake monster. Not all lake monsters look like Nessie. Ours looks like a dragon griffin.
Like Loch Ness.
Where even before Utah was a settlement,
We got lake monsters.
there were reports of people seeing a lake monster out on the Great Salt Lake. And as those waters receded, this lake monster used a series of underground tunnels to travel to another large body of water that's associated with Lake Bonneville, the ancient lake, up in northern Utah, where they have signs that say, beware of lake monster. Don't leave the lake monster. Anybody know which lake that is?
Bear Lake.
Bear Lake! For several years they couldn't find the bottom of Bear Lake. It's there, it exists, they found it. But along with the bottom they found underground caves and tunnels. And by these caves and tunnels they found large deposits of sodium. Salt. That's why they believe the ancient Lake Bonneville was all connected. There's a series of underground tunnels and caves connecting all of Utah's bodies of water. But this is a ghost story. You want to hear a ghost story? Who has an EMF detector? We're going to do a group experiment. Step forward.
They're busting out the EMF detectors.
Alright. Now I want the people with the EMF detectors in the front. And all of us, we're going to walk, or all of you, you're going to walk behind. And tell me if anything happens with your EMF detector as we're walking. So let's walk this way. And maybe hold it down a little bit towards the ground. Oh, yours is flickering. Oh, yours is flickering. Pretty. Oh, orange. Let's come over this way.
How do they know they're not detecting the wires of that line? Or the underground fiber optic cable or some shit. Ain't that weird? Remember me telling you it's not our Loch Ness Monster, but our Loch Ness Mother? And she come along telling me that one is the Utah Lake Monster, much like Loch Ness. She didn't mention these guys up here, which are pretty much the same thing. We got one here, one here, one here, and one here. And all the ones on the other side is not just like a little homage paid on the corner there. This is a god that they had reverence for. Maybe that's why he said, "This is the place." Huh? We'll see if she finds any ghosts. Here is the fourth side of the building to round off our courthouse documentary. And as you can see, these are the guys that are on every side of the building. There may be faces embedded, but these guys are paid homage to. Oops, sorry. And overhanging and overseeing every bit of the ongoings here since the day of its inception. And it just so happens that she showed up to tell us that that is the Utah Lake Monster. At least the one she pointed out on that side. But then why is it overhanging every archway, hanging off every corner of the building, and overseeing everything that happened? Because it was more than just what we now know today as something like Loch Ness. It wasn't the Loch Ness Monster, it was our Loch Ness